welcome to the show. I'm Patrick Kling.
And I'm Andy Garfield, and thank you for playing the music this time.
No problem at all. I think I played it last time on the Vegas show. Did I not?
I don't remember.
What I need to do is I need to just get a generic version of it that doesn't have the title of the show on it. I should just do that. That'd be a lot better. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Watching Coast to Coast around the world. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Whoever's watching, go ahead and chime in. We'd love to say hello to all of you around the globe. We have an interesting topic today. We're going to be talking about project credit. But we have Bill here ready to talk. He's in the bullpen, in the green room, the digital green room.
He's snacking and drinking and
yeah, exactly.
enjoying finger sandwiches.
So Andy, welcome back from Vegas. Any closing thoughts on your trip?
We still had a great time. We were still able to do all the things that we like to do, go to most of the restaurants that we like on campus at the Cosmo. We went to one restaurant off campus, Echo and Rig in Summerlin, and that was great. We sat on the patio, and they had a reduced menu. A lot of places had reduced menus that we found out because they have reduced staff as well. And, since they can only do 50% capacity, they don't buy as much food to serve as well, so they just have reduced menus. But other than that, I mean, it was business as normal. You just, wear a mask or don't. We wore masks almost the whole time, though, for the record.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much a data-driven guy, and I've been watching the data, and it's not looking too hot now that we've reopened everything. So I'm generally concerned about, I did do a weekend trip this weekend, went to a place in West Florida on the Gulf Coast and celebrating a friend's birthday. We had 6 of us going, and basically I went to a grocery store for the first time, and I went to a restaurant, ate at an indoor restaurant for the first time, and it's all very mixed. Some people are wearing masks, some people aren't. Some servers are wearing masks, some aren't. It's all very, it's all over the map. So I'm a little pessimistic today, feeling a little bummed about it. How I think we're kind of heading towards some, uncharted waters.
Do you think that another lockdown is in the cards, or do you think that it's even possible? Like, could it be enforced again? Would people accept it?
I think that's an interesting thing about whether or not it accepts it. I know that I don't think I'm going back to work in the office for a long time. And I know a lot of corporate America is the same thing. So I really don't know. I don't want to be too bleak or be too speculative, but, it would not surprise me if we were to have a second wave and the numbers kind of went up in Florida, if they would kind of dial back some of the reopenings. There's just so much, it's kind of a bummer because there's just so much controversy and conflict out there about, should you wear a mask or should you not wear a mask? Should you do this and should you do that? And we don't. It feels like there's skepticism and like, I'm just going to go out and not wear a mask. And I've worn it outside, and I get it's hot, but it's to me it's not that big of a deal. So I'm just kind of bummed about it.
I mean, and the data shows that if 100% of the people wore masks 100% of the time, it would just go away.
Yeah. So
all you have to do is wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like, why is that so hard? I don't understand. I really don't understand why people are just being such babies about it. I just don't understand.
Yeah, and it's weird that it kind of is falling down political lines. Like, it's not a political issue for me. It's just like we need to wear a mask issue, and we can move on with it. And I first started wearing a pretty heavy cloth mask, and we go outside. I'm like, okay, this is a little uncomfortable. And then I just used a surgical mask for another because I didn't have one on me. And it's light and it's very light. I can breathe completely easily, no issues at all for me personally. So I'm really just not really sure what the deal is. But,
I mean, I prefer the paper masks like day to day as well. So
yeah, well, we'll see. All of my optimism about the theme parks reopening was based on data, and now that the data is looking a little downward, it's just a bummer, and we'll see what happens, but I'm just not feeling too good about the future. And so personally in my life, my household has decided that we're going to ratchet down, go back to kind of the way things were, be very rarely go out because it's just, we don't want to be part of it. I'm not clamoring to go to restaurants, so I'm fine to be at home. And so I would just that's what we're gonna do. So.
Well, despite being bummed about stuff, I think that there's some good news. The new Born Stun show opened today, soft opened with 2 rave reviews across the board, it seems.
Yeah, so that's congratulations to the team that opened that. I'm not watching it, nor do I like to watch amusement park rides on video because I can't see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the team. We knew the new Jurassic Park unannounced roller coasters taking shape all over the place. So that's moving forward, and we'll see what happens in the future about all sorts of construction projects out there.
How do you feel about the view being changed by that coaster across the lake?
Yeah, I'm withholding judgment until I see it in person and see it. Well, withholding judgment. So we'll see what happens. Very much withholding judgment until we see what happens and what how thrilling is the attraction. I was very curious to see another roller coaster being built right after Hagrid's in that park. So we'll see how that goes down. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, without further ado, we have Bill. He is chomping at the bit. Let's go ahead and bring him out backstage. Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. How were those finger sandwiches in the green room there? Pretty good?
Really good. A bit light, but they were nice.
Well, we'll do more mayonnaise and cheese next time.
I hope so.
So we only have blue M&Ms. Welcome to the show. I know you're a big fan of the show, but we would love to have you on. We have you have a whole presentation ready to talk all about yourself. So why don't we dive on in and then we can talk about how do we get credit within the themed entertainment industry for our work, which is a very interesting topic.
Great. All right. So just a little bit about myself real quick. So I'm now a freelance designer. So I do design and art direction and also do direction of the media that's created for the rides. I enjoy working with people, and in the past I've been an academic director and an animation professor at a university. So I have a lot of practice putting together presentations and telling people about things. So I'm also a theme park junkie, and I love animation. So my past experiences have allowed me to stretch my wings and wear a lot of different hats. Some of them I've gotten credit for, and other ones I haven't, but that's okay. This is part of how it goes. So Andy and I were chatting a little bit about some of our different experiences, and I kind of thought it'd be interesting to talk about it as a topic. And so that's what we've kind of put together.
All right.
So just some general suggestions to anybody, and in particular if you're newer to the industry. The advice would be to always say yes to a new opportunity. And on top of that, build the relationships within your team, whether that's the team that you are working for directly or the extended team. As many of you know, this is a highly collaborative work that we do. And so you're working with lots of unique people who have different perspectives, and if you can make them your ally, you'll get a lot farther. And cherish the experience that you get from every project, whether it's something that people even know you did or not. Enjoy the experience and learn from it. And on top of that, don't be afraid to take on more responsibility and even ask for it. And any opportunity you have to, show leadership, you don't have to have the title that goes with it, but if you're given the opportunity, seize it and treat people fairly and be kind. So
yeah, I think that's all really good advice. I think often in the last, I would say 5 or 6 years or so, we've seen a lot of kids coming out of academia with degrees in themed entertainment, and I think it's great that they're starting to have those kinds of curriculum in schools, but I still think there's no match for actual experience, and I think that is lost on some people sometimes, where they just, come out of school and they're like, all right, ready to be a creative director, sign me up.
Right.
But, you've got to, really put in the work and pay your dues still.
For sure.
I mean, coming from academia, how do you feel about that? And like, is there a way to encourage people, who coming out of school and new to the industry to embrace that?
Yeah, I think it's, I know when I was teaching and the other folks that I taught with, part of our goal was to kind of teach people that we're basically giving you about maybe 30% of the knowledge you need. And the other 70% is going to be, the doing it. So getting in, learning what the work is, learning from the people that you're collaborating with. So when you get there, listen and learn from the lessons. But then the other part is just the experience. So, and you just can't be innately taught experience. You have to actually go through it. And so, when we taught classes, we try to gear the projects so that they would build some of that experience, so that when they did have that interview chance, when somebody asked them the hard questions about what it was like to do this or that, they could actually say they worked on a project, from start to finish. I think professors and academia can help students by giving them some of those responsibilities to finish like a complete project from start to finish.
Yeah, I know it's changed over the years. So when I graduated college and I even volunteered with the TEA and the TEA award show, I had no idea how the industry worked. And then even just getting into the industry, and I've been in it for many years, your first job is so important, and it's only one aspect of it. There's so much to it, so many ways. So it takes a lot to learn. However, if some kids get internships and they learn a ton. They get thrown right into the mix of it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of experience that you gain being on a part of projects, Andy. That's important before you get you call yourself creative director, things like that. Like when I see people, I do a lot of feedback on resumes and portfolios, and when I see people say creative director, and I'm saying, that's somebody that a company should tell you that you are,
right?
As opposed to something that you're kind of dugging yourself, unless you have a pretty decent amount of experience doing it. There's other ways to go about it.
Right.
I always say, call yourself creative leader, even if you started your own company, creative principal. Just because I think it can throw people off, turn people off in some ways, Andy, just like you're talking about, because people need to know kind of where their experience lies. But the only way students are going to know that is if they are able to get honest feedback from people in the industry about it. So.
Right. And I do think that the internship programs that a lot of folks, are doing, give them a lot of that great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they get the hands-on training that they just can't get from classroom.
Yeah. Great. So what else you got here?
All right. So just, part of the talk was just to kind of mention some of the things I've got to collaborate on. So most recently, there'd be the Reese's Cupfusion ride, which is at Hershey Park. It's a really fun ride. It's an interactive dark ride. And I got to wear a lot of different hats on that project, and it was a lot of fun. So I worked with the animation team, so I kind of, I've got written down here, CG animation director. It's kind of like collaborating and working with their team. So there's a third-party vendor that comes in, and you're working with them to make sure that everything looks right, down from the story to the lighting to the effects and the timing of the show. So handled that, and then the show programming. So working with the ride system, lighting, effects, the timing of the onboard audio and all that kind of jazz, and then also the art direction for that one. There was, of course, another art director that was in there before me on that particular project.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really fun ride, and it's the most recent one that I had get to collaborate on.
That's great. That's a lot of different roles: show programmer, and art director, animation.
Yeah, that's kind of what you run into when you work for a small design firm
Yeah.
or a provider. You have to be really flexible and adaptable, and you just never know what you're going to be doing that particular week, day, project. It all varies. So
That's one of the reasons I love this industry so much, is because every project is so different and has so many different moving parts from the last. And no two projects are alike, unless even if often if they're clones, like all the Justice Leagues are,
right.
they're all slightly different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had the pleasure of working on 7 of those, and it was a lot of fun. Or there were 7 of them. I worked on 5 of them. Sorry, but so here's just a few snapshots from the ride.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's got really large media screens, which is all interactive, so it's real time gaming. You have tethered ride system, so the 2 ride vehicles are attached to each other, and they can spin and slow down, speed up. On the left there is the entire, well, not the entire, but part of the team that worked on it. So we've got the park, and then we've got Lewis from Raven's Son, and then we got Chris Weaver, who is a project manager, and Lauren Weaver, who is I shouldn't say our anymore, but at Sally, the director of marketing. So it was a lot of fun. They were great people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I kind of was bouncing between these 2 projects. So this was in Spain. So this is Sesame Street Mission, which opened at PortAventura World over in Tarragona, Spain. This is a really, really great ride as well. It's an interactive dark ride. And it won a couple great awards, the Europe's Best New Ride 2019 by the European Star Award, that is. And Park Excellence Award, Family Ride of the Year, also 2019. And that one, I got to, again, wear a lot of different hats. So got to work with the animation studio again, different one in this case. And I was the art director on site part of the time. And then also did a lot of the design for this particular ride. Not all of it, but some fun parts. So it turned out to be a really, really, really cute ride. And the folks from Sesame Workshop were a lot of fun to work with.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear too. They're really great collaborators.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were so nice. And myself, Rich Hill, and Logan Swaki got to go up to New York City and actually, film them live as reference for the media. And,
Oh, cool.
And they were just amazing. I mean,
You work with Kip on that too, I presume?
Yeah, Kip Rapke. Yeah.
Nice.
He was really great. So
Cool.
So these are just some snapshots from the ride.
It looks really great. The lighting looks really nice too.
Yeah, it turned out really nice. Tony, who's with Technolux, did the lighting on that, and he really did a great job. So he should be very proud of it.
Cool.
So that's a little bit about what I've been up to in the last year or so. There was other projects, of course, but I don't want to just talk about me. It's not that interesting. So just kind of going back to the topic and kind of understanding where I come from as far as what I've done. Hopefully, get some more context to this. So we're in the entertainment industry, and at our heart, we understand what humans want and need. And I don't know if you guys have read Dale Carnegie or Lee Cockerell's any of his books or any of their different plans that they put together.
Oh yeah, the How to Win Friends and Influence People was pretty life-changing for me.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been re-rating that lately.
Yeah,
just kind of a reminder. It's one of those things you can return to. So, there's just some fundamental things that people all respond to, and they're the encouragement, the acknowledgement, or appreciation, and then recognition. And I think it's something that maybe some of us could do better, or maybe there's different ways to do it. that would help some people career-wise. And so the beauty, if you've read, Lee or Dale Carnegie's material, is it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
So it's just something you just do. So it just takes a little bit of time to take a note and then address it. So, but there's a lot of gain to be had of additional recognition and encouragement. So employee engagement goes up, employee retention improves. People aren't looking for new jobs because they're not dissatisfied. Perception of quality of work life improves as well. So, nothing's really changed other than they just feel better about it. Quality of work improves. They feel better about it. They do a better job. They care more about their job. Work culture improves. People aren't feeling jealous of each other if somebody's gotten more attention or they feel like they've been slighted. And then ultimately the job satisfaction goes up. So, which if people like what they're doing, they feel good about it, they're going to do a great job for you. So, and that's kind of everything that you would get from reading those books.
Right.
I think we've all worked with the creative leader type who has nothing good to say, but if they don't say something negative, then you've done a good job.
Right.
And those exist.
Yeah.
And and that's one way to do it. I think that can work. I think it's just when it's always that way, it can feel a bit overwhelming. I think there has to be balance. I don't know that people have to make you feel great every day. It's hard to live up to that. But I think there's moments in any organization when you have an opportunity to acknowledge somebody or just give them a little recognition, and it'll go a long way. So piggybacking off that, how do you do it? Well, there are different ways that it can become kind of more of I guess I don't want to say standard because it doesn't need to be standardized, but more of a practice, I suppose. So the different leaders, and there's lots of them in this industry, tons of them, and every project has levels of leaders, of course. I think it's kind of their responsibility to give the recognition and ask that the different team members are given the credit, and they have opportunities such as if they're doing an interview or they're getting an award or even they're just having an office meeting. Who knows? It could be any given situation where they have an opportunity to just kind of give some of that support back to all the different collaborators. You don't have to name every single person, obviously, but there's opportunities.
I think in our industry in particular, it's a really touchy subject about credit for a lot of reasons. Not least among them is project secrecy and NDAs that everybody signs. And then there's the sticky issue of different people taking different credit for different things that they work on a little piece of this or a little piece of that, but
Right.
taking credit for the larger things, sort of whether it's by accident or on purpose or just by association or whatever. And it's kind of just been like an open secret in our industry that where a lot of people are just they're just taking credit for stuff that maybe they shouldn't. But it's hard to,
Right.
if you're like an art director like you, Bill. I mean, if you're an art director, okay, so there's the concept art director, and then the schematic art director, and then the site art director, and it's just like, well, who's the art director? Well, they all are.
Right. And I know it's really confusing, who's doing what, and particularly I think on the really large projects where you do have so many different layers. It's got to get confusing, and I'm sure that trying to list everybody's got to be about impossible. I do think that when you're looking at like an award application, for example, there's they have an area that you can list the different companies and such, and you can also list, who contributed. So there's an opportunity that you could address it there. You don't necessarily have to put it in, every publication that comes out. That could get, kind of out of control, I'm sure. So I completely agree with you, and it is a very touchy thing, and I know people get a territorial. I think it's possibly because of the nature of the industry and just not being as open as maybe some others are, like film, for example. You go watch a film and you watch 15 minutes of credits because everybody's listed.
So yeah, I have a few thoughts about all this. So there's one company that does put credits at the end of their attractions experience.
Really?
Bob Rogers, probably BRC does. They have a little emblem. Now, I'm sure there are people that are left out, but they have a little seal at the end of their experiences,
right?
Where they list out who was the producer, who was the art. They list everybody out, which is cool. I think it's like I feel like it's all in there to kind of lock people out, almost to like keep everything sound like we're very cool and exclusive, and you're not gonna, you can't claim your work. And I think it negatively affects the industry. I think it creates, puts walls and barriers up, especially since there's a lot of open secrets. At a certain point, everyone knows that a ride's being built. So, at what point do you try to put barriers up and try to keep things a secret? I understand there's IP and there's trademark, there's trade secrets you want to keep in check, but I will talk to some companies and I'll be like, oh, what are you up to? Anything cool? And their default is I can't talk about it versus, oh, well, my last project was this, and they list off a few things that are announced and open, and it's like, okay, and you're just trying to be polite, like I really don't care what they're working on. I'm just trying to like have a conversation at a networking event, and so like there's almost like this mysteriousness that they're trying to create. And it's like, oh, that's cool and all, but it puts barriers up and leaves me in a rough impression. Like I'm not asking somebody like, what's the ride like for Jurassic Park at Beijing? I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, just trying to, make a connection and say, oh, cool, you worked on that, and I've seen some people handle the question very well, some people just not very well, and I'm just kind of like, well, there's a way to be polite about, oh, my last project was this and back in the day or whatever it is, but kind of can't talk. And there's a way of saying I'm not really supposed to talk about it in a nice way, just because I have no idea what people are they want to say and not. But I feel like it varies on company to company, and it's an interesting thing. I think it negatively affects vendors a lot. Vendors, like, you want to be able to say what you worked on so you can attract the talent. And I would openly love a system where, an IMDb for theme parks. I don't know if anyone's tried that or done that. I think it'd be interesting. Why not?
Right. I think it'd be valuable.
Yeah, I've been pitching like an IMDb for theme parks for years now. And again, it's certain gatekeepers and certain companies that don't want to reveal everything, or co-sign somebody saying that they worked on something in a specific way.
And what I will say to that is, like, I feel like we're kind of stuck in this weird spot where a theme park will release 10 behind the scene footage videos of their attraction being built. They're peeling back the curtain. They're revealing a lot of it. And I think that the lines have gotten so blurry now about what is IP and what do you want to manage, which is fine. But at a certain point, I think we need to start peeling back the curtain and in a way where more people can accept credit and expect responsibility for the things that they're working on. Because we all know what happens is that, okay, here's my online portfolio, but here's the one I can't really talk about. And the information gets exchanged anyways. It's just kind of like it's just in this weird underground way. And I don't know. I've always been off-put by it. But I'm also a pretty open guy anyway. That's, not everyone's like that.
Right.
But there was one other thing you said that reminded me of Oh gosh, I forget. It was because I had a lot of things I was going to say. I'll let you guys talk now. I'll remember it.
Well, I understand the situation, and I understand the concerns. I do wish that there was more of an open environment, and I think it just helps everybody. You know, if we all know kind of what other people can contribute to a project, well, that's great. Whether it's a vendor or it's some kind of provider or it's some kind of talent, sharing the information is only going to improve the projects, which is all what we all want. So, I'm
think
hopeful.
the more open it is, the more accountability there will be as well, from person to person. Because I've run into people who have claimed to do the same thing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've definitely been sending resumes where creative director, and I'm like, well, this person claimed that, or you go to IAPA and there's a booth and they claim that they were a part of every single attraction that was created since the 1980s, and you're like, yeah, I mean, you were there, but like, how many people were there when you were there, and why are you like claiming that as your own? It's just, and we know it's there just to attract international people that don't know, that maybe not be as tuned in.
And I know we're all thinking of the same attraction right now, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I have one on the top of my mind that I've seen on at least 4 different websites.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah. I had the hardest time trying to figure out who really, headed that up. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and people did different things. You had a creative director for media. You had a creative director for rights. You had so many different people a part of any project, really, like we said earlier. So it is a challenge. I know that I will just know after many talks I've had with various vendors that service all of all the different owners, that they want to just be matter of fact. Look, this is our work. We get it, and they want to be able to basically have more work that from other lines of business. They want to be able to do museum work. They want to be able to do zoos, aquariums. They want to be a lot more diversified so that they're not as reliant on on theme parks in general, which I think will bring in so much more knowledge, because I think they grow as companies when they're able to take on more diverse clients than just the same ones over and over again. So there's some weird stuff. I don't know. Maybe we're all going to be blacklisted now. I don't know. But
I hope not.
it's just been a weird thing.
I've done a lot worse things than this conversation, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, well, I'm in the job hunt right now, so
fair enough.
Yeah, hopefully not offending anyone by any means.
I don't think so.
We're going to keep it nice and vague on the show. So if anybody has any comments,
everybody up.
Go ahead, Andy.
I was just saying, I think that that's part of the the theme of the show is to build people up through experience, and then part of that is taking credit for your work in proper ways, and that builds people up.
Yeah. Well, and it's by the way, if anybody has any comments on this, feel free to post it. We'll throw it up. We did have a comment from Christian. Mark, can't thank you enough for your messages showing your work individually to make the world a more interesting, amusing, and enjoyable. That's nice. Thank you. That's cool.
Thank you.
Cool comment. Well, and so what's kind of interesting is in my position, when I've created a portfolio, it's like my deliverable as an art director, like in the field, is like delivering the attractions. I never did any drawings along the way. I was always reviewing things. So it's kind of like my portfolio is like a picture of an attraction. Like, there it is. Which isn't that engaging as, but there's a lot that goes behind that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's tricky. I feel bad for some, different, higher level folks if, they've got lots of great projects obviously under their belts, but again, they're showing work that they were in charge of, but I guess they're still probably going for other higher level jobs. So it's
hard to contextualize that kind of work and package it.
Mm-hmm. So do we all agree we need to create an IMDb for theme parks? I feel like someone would have done that by now.
Yes, I think so.
I think it could be an interesting thing. It's been, the film industry has been giving credit since the 40s. So they've managed to do it without burning. Sorry, my mic's jiggly.
Yeah, no problem. Well, and yeah, I mean, if you win a Theo Award, you get included in the credits. I've been included on a couple of attractions. Yeah, that is correct. We are not aware of a website that tracks project credit like an IMDb. So if anybody knows how to make one, maybe we could.
Yeah, despite theater entertainment being 5 times the size of film and television in terms of business.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
It's I think that the knowledge is there. There's the will. It's just someone needs to do it and see if anyone's going to go to it.
Right. Well, that and there's the fear that you're going to burn that bridge or upset somebody or disturb the apple cart. That's got to be a.
Yeah, we're getting trolled by Jason McNane. Sorry, Jason. Which attraction do you think is the winner for the most people claim to have worked on it? I think Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man for me, but I don't know if you guys are thinking that.
I think that's what we were thinking of. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
I'm not saying nobody worked on it. I'm saying they did. It's just very unclear to say what people did or did not do. So
yeah, and I know all those people claiming credit, and I've talked to them about it. I still don't understand who did what.
Yeah. Well, and we said it's so interesting. Like, there's so many stages of the project where that you could be an art director. There's people that are show writers for the very beginning, some that are in the end. There's art directors, creative directors. Some companies switch to creative directors along the entire road.
Yeah.
So how
field promotions and everything.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Jason, are you going to validate that that's what you were thinking too? Because we were the one who named names on that one.
Well, I think it's interesting. You got sometimes you got the master planner will develop a ride concept, and then and then it ends up getting farmed out to a provider, and maybe they start with the same general idea, but then it just takes on a new life. It's completely rewritten, and so it's it's no longer that thing that they may have developed at the beginning, and it's something else. So they're not wrong.
Like an Imagineering, somebody will develop an idea, 20 or 30 years ago, and somebody pulls it off a shelf and dusts it off and gives it a new coat of paint, and then it's theirs,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that created it are, out of the industry, dead, who knows?
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
On that note,
right.
On that note, we don't have any more comments. So any closing thoughts, Bill? We'll leave it to you, and then we'll give a closing thought. And then, Bill, make sure you don't hang up after we close the show. We'll stay hung on after that. Just
right. Closing thoughts is if I've offended anyone, I'm sorry.
Hold on. We got one more. Galaxy Edge with the new Spider-Man. Suddenly, the landscape vendor will claim to have been the creative director. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wiki style would be more appropriate. Those are pretty easy to make, I've heard. That's kind of interesting.
IMDb is kind of a wiki. I mean, it's user edited. I mean, you can submit your changes and everything like that, just like with wiki. So,
yeah. Well, and just the idea of like being able to like almost link to behind the scenes information. So if you went on this Wikipedia page, it would be like here's everything that's ever been discussed about this attraction. Go here. Like, that'd be kind of cool. That's
or like YouTube links and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. He wants another side project. I got too many going on right now, so I can't do it.
Yeah, I think I've seen things improve. I know I've been to some like SATE different events, and people have been providers, vendors have been guests to speak. So that's encouraging. I've also seen different creative leads or directors, go on social media and that kind of thing and give credit to their team, naming individuals, which I think is really cool. It's a really nice thing to do. And I've read a number of biographies from different folks, and they're quite generous about sharing, different people they've collaborated with over the years. So I think maybe things are changing and moving in that direction.
Yeah, Michael makes a good point there.
Main Street windows are sort of credits in a way. Yeah. Interesting stuff. I mean, it's they use it to honor all sorts of different people, which is interesting. And Easter eggs, etc. Yeah, I think like an online, if people were just free to say, so there was another thing I wanted to say. So I don't know how you guys feel about this, but whenever I see somebody out there in the world say, like, post on social media, look at this project that I did, and they use the word like that's like nails on a chalkboard, red flags. I'm just kind of like, you didn't do that. You played a component in it. When people say like, oh, look at all this stuff I did and me, it's just kind of like, it just seems weirdly out of touch. I'm not sure if what do you guys have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think it happens. I think there's possible that some folks are worried about, not getting the perception they've done something, and then so they're trying too hard to show people what they can do or whatnot. So I don't know. I try to look at the work and see, if it seems reasonable that they did it. I've like you guys, I've seen portfolios, and you go in an interview and you want to ask the person, like, okay, so I see this project, but what was your contribution? And they show you some great artwork. You're like, did you do that? And they're like, well, no, I didn't do that. I did this. Okay, so then this piece, did you do that? And they're like, well, no, I didn't do that, but it was my idea. And you're like, well, okay, so then this piece, is this your idea? Or did you do this? And you can kind of filter it out pretty quick, whether it's their work or not.
Well, one thing that's interesting, if it's almost like a crowdsource thing, is that people would need to be very specific about what they are doing, because if they go on there and they claim something that they didn't do, you would then have other people coming in and being able to edit it and saying, no, I was the creative director for that portion, or I was the designer for that portion. So it might be a very interesting way. So we have a couple things here I want to throw up. Yeah. Some are jokes, but they deserve some right. I personally feel like you shouldn't be able to exit an attraction without being able to recite names of all 600 people who worked on it from blue sky through production. What about post-credit scenes with Nick Fury? All right, in the retail, it's good. 600. So we're only going with the last vendor's team to touch it.
Right.
That guy, that's good stuff. I think the Sentosa's crane dance might be up there. Or what if everyone who worked on the attraction got a cut of the merch, like royalties? We need to start making it. Interesting.
If only.
Right.
We've kind of talked about how, like, we think that, people go and enjoy these attractions, and more people ride a attraction at Disneyland than we'll go on it. We'll see a movie in the end. Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting to think about, like, how much of a personal character is in each attraction that people do. Why aren't more theme park designers famous? And it's because what I think is I know is that people think theme parks just come out of the ground, and they were always there because that's the way they built that way for people to think that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have like all the starchitects like Frank Gehry and Skidmore and all those famous architects that people seek out and hire for prestige projects, and it's interesting that there's so few of those characters in themed entertainment, and when they are there, often the companies sort of like try to like quash it a little bit.
Yeah, well, and now it's basically whoever's willing to go and be out in front of the camera or be on social media. Yeah, and there can be risk factors with that for people.
I was just gonna say that, yeah, it's risky, and you're taking a risk when you do that. If the Japanese have a saying, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down.
Huh. I'm hoping not to get hammered down.
Well, no, this is our safe space. I'm talking about going on the news.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not airing this one, right? Yeah.
No, this is going to go in the bank. No. I don't think we've said anything that's controversial at all. So today at all. It's interesting stuff. Yeah, I'm going to probably put out on LinkedIn to say, hey, I know there's a lot of students out there, recent graduates, people that had internships that are not, and I'm just going to say, hey, who's up for the challenge? Let's create a Wikipedia wiki for the industry, and let's just do it. Why not?
Right.
See what happens,
Yeah, I've seen some wiki pages for some different attractions that do exist there. I don't know, how active they are of updating those, or if anybody ever checks them. Not sure, but
Yeah.
looked at a few.
Yeah, could be something. Andy, any closing thoughts?
No, I think it was a really great discussion. I think that we raised a lot of great points, and we weren't just like griping about it. I think that we there's a lot of really viable solutions to all this.
Yeah,
And Bill, I really appreciated your talk about leadership and wearing different hats and all that, and having to just roll with the punches when you're working on big, complex projects.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think it's just part of the job. I think you're going to do a lot of things, and I don't think you're going to get credit for a lot of things you do, and I think that's okay. I think you're going to grow as an artist and a person doing them, and you should enjoy that. So, I don't stress about it.
Cool. Well, what I'll do is we'll close. I do want to say that everyone here is aware of what's going on with the Black Lives Matter situation in the streets and all the things going on. We're all very aware of it. Last Monday, I did plug the show that we did on Friday about diversity and inclusion in the themed entertainment industry. Very successful. It's on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and click around. It's called So You're About to Graduate College. And it's the last one we did. You can't miss it. We did 2 hours. It was very long and good and a great discussion. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll just go ahead and post a link to it. But it's on it's on So You're About to Graduate College. You just go to the facebook.com/about to graduate and it pops up. It was a great show and a lot of great resources there. A lot of discussion. So Bill and Andy, if you haven't caught it and you have 2 hours,
I did see it.
Watching it. You saw it?
Yes.
Oh, what do you think? What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. I thought the presenters really knew their stuff. They were very engaging. They had. I learned a lot actually during that talk, and I'm looking forward. I think there's going to be a follow-up that you guys have planned on doing. So that looking forward to seeing what they're going to say and what other information they're going to share. Obviously, we've got a lot of opportunity to make improvements. Not only Black lives and how they're treated and opportunities are given, but a lot of other points were made as well, and for other folks, people with disabilities, as well as women in the workplace. So a lot of work to be done, and I hope to be one of those advocates helping folks, live their dreams and get as successful as they can be.
Hey. No, I'm glad you were able to watch it. I'm glad you enjoy is not the right word. I'm glad you found it informative.
It was.
And I look forward to watching it this week.
I'm going to put it out in the chat for people that want to watch it. I'll definitely pitch the idea around. We've already been making one for our clubs. Yeah, someone's got to get on that. That's not us. We're already doing enough, guys.
We're making the shows.
Yeah, we're already making the shows, folks. We need your help. Now I'll post it on LinkedIn. And Garrett, I'm sure we're connected on LinkedIn. So just comment and say we're working on it because I think it'd be cool. Why not? Let's do it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Monday with some sort of show. We'll see what it is. We'll figure it out before we go on. But we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us on a Monday night. It's always fun to do this.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you very much, Bill. It was great getting to know you a bit. Folks, we don't have any clever sign-offs, so I'll just say have a good night.